Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show on yet another Monday.
What's up, nerds?
Sup, nerds?
How we doing? We doing all right?
People are here, so I'd say
I
so.
Guess so.
Yeah.
I guess then
I can't tell you exactly what their state of mind is right now, but they seem happy to be here.
I guess that's probably fine. Okay. I got a question for you, Pickle, as I often do here on the pre-show before the free show.
Okay.
But not always. Normally, sometimes we just don't have any plan when we come to the pre-show.
Yeah, I was thinking I feel like we never really have a plan.
Here, please. I got a question for you.
Okay.
Let's just say, let's go on a hypothetical journey with me.
Mm-hmm.
You and your best friend,
okay,
Adam,
yeah,
get on a plane. Mm-hmm. You're flying to Delaware.
Okay.
Okay. Getting on a plane, flying to Delaware, and to see all of the scenic beauty of Delaware, the home of our current president. Mm-hmm. For some reason, you're super into Delaware.
Okay.
But there's no direct flights from Delaware, from DFW to Delaware.
Right.
I can't even name a city in Delaware. What's a city in Delaware?
I don't know.
What's the capital of Delaware? Is it Wilmington?
No. Maybe.
Capital
I was going to say Hartford, but that's Connecticut.
Dover.
Dover.
Of course. You're flying to Dover, but there's no direct flights.
Okay. So you have to make a layover.
On the road, you're having a connection, right? Mm-hmm. The connection is in West Virginia.
West by God, Virginia.
Okay.
Okay.
It's in West Virginia.
That would be a weird flight path, but okay.
Flight lands there, goes to West Virginia, lands. You change planes. Maybe there's like an hour layover.
Okay. Hour layovers are not bad.
Hour layover, enough to have a beer. You having a little cocktail there in the airport.
That's
Get
fine.
on your plane, fly to Dover.
Okay.
Here's my question.
That's a long setup for
Correct.
a question.
Did you visit the state of West Virginia? If you have a layover in a state, but do not leave the airport, can you cross that state off your list?
No. I say you can have... Here's how I've always looked at it. I think that you can have two different lists and say, my foot has stepped on the ground in this, and so I have this number, but I don't ever consider that legitimately visiting.
So an airport is it's like maritime law, right? It's like you're kind of nowhere. Is what you're saying? You're saying that is neutral ground?
Yeah, especially, and honestly, I think it depends on how long. If you have a 24-hour layover and you leave the airport to go to a hotel or you leave to do something, then yes, you've been there. But I don't think being in the airport there for an hour, when an hour is really not a long time for a layover. Most of the time, you're running at that point.
I guess my question is, what if it's 4 hours, right? Here's the broader question. The broader question is, you don't leave the airport.
Yeah.
Okay?
If you don't leave the airport, then no.
Then no. So the airport does not count as the state.
Right. I don't think you can cross it off your I've been to this state list. I think that you can, if people say, have you ever been to West Virginia? You can say, I had a layover there, and that was it. I had this conversation with a friend not too long ago. He has been to the Las Vegas airport 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of connections through there.
But he's never actually been to Vegas.
But here's my
so
question.
He was like, "Well, I've been to Vegas," and I'm like, "No, you haven't."
No. Okay, let me push back on that a little bit.
He gambled in the airport. Yes.
Did he gamble in the airport? Then I don't know. That's
See,
different. You know,
that's
what I mean?
A tricky one.
I think that's different. I think that's a special circumstance.
Yeah. But he was like, no, I've been to Vegas 3 times. And I was like, but you haven't.
You are enjoying what makes Vegas unique.
Yeah, which is fair,
you know?
is you do have that. You have a liquor store and you have gambling machines in the airport.
And
so
that's the whole point.
That is Vegas.
Right.
But I don't know. I've been there 3 times. I'm like, not if you've only been in the airport. That doesn't work that way.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm a pretty firm believer of you need to get out and do something to be able to really count it off your true I've been to that state list.
Okay. So you have to leave the airport grounds.
Mm-hmm.
And do we want to say you have to have a meal somewhere?
No. Do
we want
because
to say
there are times where if say you had an 8-hour layover somewhere, you could leave and go walk. Now, likely you're probably eating during that, but say for whatever reason you didn't need to eat, you can go walk around the downtown area or the area of wherever that you're at and get a little bit of an experience of it without actually having to eat, I would say.
Okay. So you're saying you have to leave the grounds?
Yes. I think you have to leave the grounds of the airport to say that you've actually been there. Okay. Do you agree with that or no?
I think I do.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you.
But it's kind of one of those things, too. I guess maybe that's me
being
a hypocrite because I know there was one time where we were way up north and we knew that we were right along the border of Wisconsin. So we drove 5 minutes into Wisconsin.
Yeah, what's the
and then went
there?
back down. And yeah, there's really not. Mm-mm.
You never left your car.
Well, we stopped to take a picture at the sign.
If you drive through Oklahoma on the way to Kansas City.
Yeah. I still think if you drive all the way through it.
Okay.
I feel like if you drive all the way through it, you have seen a lot more of that state than if you fly into it.
Didn't you? Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Let me push back on this.
Yeah.
Was it you who flew on Iceland Air?
Mm-hmm.
Did you leave the airport in Iceland?
I did, but that's because our flight got way pushed back. And so we ended up having a 24-hour layover.
If you had not left the airport, would you consider yourself as had been to Iceland?
I think I would do the same thing of telling people I've been to the airport in Iceland, and that would be about it. I wouldn't claim to have toured around Iceland. My cousins went on a trip to Iceland, but I haven't done that. But I can say, yeah, I've landed at the airport in Iceland.
Okay. That's fine.
I think you can say it. You just have to be very specific about what you spent your time doing there. That's my take.
Hit the theme expo. Pickle! Hit the air sign. from the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. It is Texas Football Today, a show that we should really start charging the city of Lewisville for all the good things we say about them. We say they're beautiful every day.
Yeah.
My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine. TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places, or you listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local, mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good, celebrating the final day of February. She's the Duchess of the Dork. She's Ashley Pickle.
I feel like that is the thing to celebrate. We've kind of made it known that February's not on the top 3 months.
March is a pretty superior month to February.
Oh, absolutely.
Fair, right?
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about it. People look forward to spring break.
Mm-hmm.
The weather starts getting nicer. Mm-hmm. March is way better.
I totally agree. Today's Monday, February 28th, 2022. 269 days till Thanksgiving.
Nice.
Happy birthday to... Oh, I had one.
Oh, no.
I did have one.
Oh,
and then
bud.
Happy birthday to...
Happy Monday.
Oh, God, I had one. Happy birthday... Oh, God, where was it? Mario Andretti? That's not interesting. Happy birthday, Mario
Way to just blow him up on his birthday.
Happy birthday. It's Jason Aldean's birthday. Does that move the needle for you? People
yeah.
like Jason Aldean.
Yeah,
Eric Lindros,
that's a good country artist.
Player.
Well, I wouldn't say good, but he's a country artist.
He is a country artist, in fact.
He has a couple of those songs that Greg Powers likes to say, like, when you're listening to him, you're always having a good time, so you don't really have anything bad to say about him, but I wouldn't say he's no King George.
Now, hold on a second.
Whoa, we're getting upset on a Monday morning.
Oh,
no. What?
I want to make sure of this.
Okay.
Jason Aldean's not his real name.
BS. What is it?
He's Jason Williams.
Oh, liar.
Oh,
not cool.
Not happy about that.
Not cool.
Episode 1340. On today's show, guys, we got headlines from
Jason
across
Williams
the state.
is a really generic name.
That's probably why I changed it. We got a lot to get to. Headlines from across the state, including some coaching changes, and is college football in trouble?
Dun, dun, dun.
We'll talk about that. In the back half of the show, we're going to go down to the Valley. We're going to be joined by the head coach of the McAllen Memorial Mustangs, one of the great surprises down there in the Rio Grande Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Moses Patterson will join us. He took over late in June after the sudden retirement of Bill Patterson, the longtime coach there. Took over, did a fantastic job, took them to the regional semifinals for just the third time in program history. We'll talk with Coach Patterson coming up here at the back half of the program. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Tony Blaylock, Aaron Arbuckle, Rob Hadaway, and Daniel Agnew. Welcome in, fellas.
Welcome in, friends. Okie dokie. Let's talk a little bit about some headlines from across the state. We're going to start with the news that came down last week about UIL realignment. Believe it or not, UIL realignment is still happening. Kind of, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
You may remember when we had Dr. Susan Elza, the UIL athletic director, on. She talked about how realignment comes out, but that's not the end of it.
Right.
They have a robust appeals process that if you really feel like you can make a case that you should be in a different district, then you can go and make that a case. 3 such teams did make that case.
And they got swatted at half court.
Farmersville, Grapeland, and Alamo Heights all wanted to move districts. They were basically moving, I won't bore you with the numbers, but they wanted to move from District 5 to District 6, District 11 to District 12, District 14 District 13. Didn't want to change regions, just wanted to change districts.
Mm-hmm.
The UIL has denied all 3 of those requests, all 3 of those appeals. So now you can say realignment is done.
Mm-hmm.
Done and dusted. It was done and dusted as of last week. What we have is what we'll get.
Is 3 a normal number? Do you know? I think we asked her about that, but I can't. It was usually, just a couple.
I would say that's relatively low.
Yeah.
I would say that it probably tops out at about 8 or 9.
9, yeah.
And then it probably 3 is probably on the low end of average, but it still kind of falls within that range.
Oh, well, that's got to feel good for the UIL.
And the UIL looked it up and said, no, thank you. You can stay right there. Coaching news from across the state.
Mm-hmm.
We have a state champion head coach on the way, or on the move, rather. Another one. And that is BJ Gott. BJ Gott is the head coach at Katy Paetow, or at least was. He is now moving over to take over as the head coach at Pearland. Pearland, of course, is looking for a coach after Ricky Tullis took the job at Brian. Not Brian Tullis took the job at Ricky. Ricky Tullis took the job at Brian. And so BJ Gott is on the move, leaving Pearland, leaving Katy Paetow, the program that he led to the 5A Division I state championship the past week or past year. They also, you remember, he opened the school back in Katy back in 2017. It all culminated 3 straight winning seasons, including you may remember last year in 2020, they had their season cut short due to a COVID outbreak. They had to forfeit their playoff game. They did not have to do that this year. They ran all the way to the 2021 5A Division I state championship game. They are moving up to Class 6A. BJ Gott is also moving up to Class 6A, but he'll be moving there with Pearland as he is taking the job there at Pearland High. I think that's a little bit interesting because he is a Katy guy, and I would think that I don't think Gary Joseph's going anywhere.
No.
But you would have to think that he's on the short list of guys who would be
up next.
If and when Coach Joseph decided that he was done, he would be on that short list. But he is going to take the job at Pearland, at least for now. So that is certainly noteworthy. Pearland or Katy Paetow, another good job looking for a head coach.
We had a really good conversation with him when you were on paternity leave.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. Copper's Cove has made a hire.
Yeah.
Copper's Cove, and what I think is a little bit of a surprise, they've hired WT White coach Tony Johnson out of Dallas ISD at Kickslide on Twitter. He is replacing Jason Hammett. Jason Hammett had back-to-back 1-9 seasons. But Coach Johnson's done a fantastic job. He helped get WT White, which has been one of the long struggling programs in Dallas ISD, got them to the playoffs for the first time since 2007 in 2020. And then they went 6-5 again this year, which is 6-5 at Dallas. WT White is pretty darn good. So WT White looking for a coach after Tony Johnson leaving for Copper's Cove.
Talk about a guy that'll bring a good amount of energy to your revamp, your program that's in need of a revamp.
We're going to talk a little bit to a coach who had an interim tag removed later in the program. Let's talk about another one, and that is in Mexia. Aaron Noel was the head coach for the Mexia Black Cats last season. In 2021, he served as their interim coach after Brady Bond. He took over last year after Brady Bond left. They have now, after pretty decent season there, Mexia, he's going to take over in the full-time capacity. Mexia has removed the interim tag from Aaron Noel. So they have a new full-time head coach in Aaron Noel there at Mexia for the Black Cats. Their 4th head coach since 2019.
Step is trying to convince him to send us some shirts that have that awesome Black Cat logo on it.
I already got one.
Oh, well.
Don't got to worry about me. You don't worry about me. I got connections. Shout out Coach Brent Ratliff at Corrigan Camden, too. I got his shirt, too. They say you can't come home again. That is patently false. Because you can come home again. Such is the case in Cumbie. The Cumbie Trojans have made a hire, and it is a familiar name down there at Cumbie. They have hired Tom Dracos to be their head coach at Cumbie. You may remember that he is coming from Texas Lutheran, I should say. Texas Lutheran, he was their defensive line coach at the college level, but Tom Dracos is not a stranger to Cumbie. In fact, he was their head coach from 2013 to 2019, led them to their first district title in 38 years back in 2017. He goes off to the college ranks for a couple of years, decides to come back. He is taking over a program. Coach Charles Bowles went 1-7 in 2021, 2-5 in 2020, and 8-4 in 2019, but Coach Tom Dracos is back at Cumbie, taking over the position he once held. I wonder if his chair is still there. Let's find out. This is a couple weeks old, but we kind of bumped it last week. I want to make sure we talked about it. The TSWA, Texas Sports Writers Association, announced their all-state teams a couple of weeks back. They come out pretty late because they wait until the end of the full season. The other all-district teams or all-state teams do not do that. In my opinion, the TSWA is the AP All-State comes out. I believe you have to file at the end of the regular season. The TSWA is, in my opinion, the gold standard for all state teams in the state of Texas. You can find them up on TexasFootball.com, but if you are interested, the players of the year that they named, in 6A, it was Cade Klubnik on the offensive side, Ethan Burke, the defensive lineman from Westlake, on the defensive side, their coach of the year, or rather, he shared it with Chris Ross, the defensive lineman from North Shore. Their coach of the year was Todd Dodge. In 5A, offensive player of the year was Marquise Collins. Their defensive player of the year was Andon Thomas, the linebacker from Liberty Hill. Hard to argue with that. And Coach Jason Todd from South Oak Cliff was their 5A coach of the year. In 4A, their player of the year was Coy Aiken, the wide receiver from Stephenville.
Well deserved.
Reese Young, the linebacker from Stephenville, was their defensive player of the year, and then Brian Bell from China Spring was their coach of the year. In 3A, Braden Bennett, the Mount Vernon quarterback, was their offensive player of the year. Joe Gutschel, the defensive lineman from Lorena, was their defensive player of the year, and their coach was Mark Fannin at Franklin. In 2A, Dalton Brooks, their from Shiner, was their offensive player of the year. Demarion Medlock, the linebacker from Mart, was their defensive player of the year. Daniel Bedecker, the Shiner head coach, was their coach of the year. And the 1A ranks, you can go to the 1A ranks. The Texas Sports Writers Association don't do them, but the Texas Six-Man Coaches Association puts out an outstanding all-state team, and theirs has been out for much longer. Theirs comes out pretty quickly, I think, because it's a little bit of a smaller area, group. And so if you're interested, their player of the year in Division 1 was Cedric Ware from Westbrook.
Yes.
Offensive MVP was Caden Hulk from May. Defensive MVP was Patton Dominguez from Westbrook. Their coach of the year was Homer Matlock at Westbrook. And then in the 1A Division 2, Grayson Rigdon, the freshman from Strawn, was their 6-man player of the year.
Yeah, we'll be hearing his name for a while.
Their coach of the year was Shannon Waters at Benjamin. Offensive player MVP was Lorenzo Garcia from Strawn, and their defensive MVP was Griff Rigdon from Strawn. So there you go. There is your all-state look at that.
Did they list him as Hulkamania or not? Because if they didn't, that's a mess up on their part.
No, they didn't.
Oh, man.
Finally, I wanted to kick this around for a little bit. There's a story out from Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports. He has put out his annual story about college football attendance. I'm just going to read the tweet from him. Inside college football's attendance crisis. Attendance hits a 40-year low, down for the 7th straight season, and 9 of the last 10. The SEC has their lowest attendance since 1999. The ACC has their lowest in more than 30 years. The Pac-12 has their lowest ever. And then he writes, it's not just COVID and the convenience of 70-inch TVs. And so if you dive into the story, it's a good piece. He talks about how the average attendance at games this year was 39,848. That is the lowest since 1981. It's also a significant fall off since 2019. 2020, obviously, there was almost nobody in the stands. But 2019, they were over 41,000, almost 41.5, down to 39.8. And you and I talked a little bit about this.
Yeah.
About why you think that attendance is down in college football. And I think it's a few different things.
Yeah.
One of them, I think you can associate some of it with the lingering, maybe lingering, hesitance of COVID.
Right.
A little bit of it.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe
there was a new strand that came out right when we were in the middle of college football season, so it makes sense.
At least part of it is that. I also think that the television product's really good. And the television product is pretty cheap. You know what I mean? And that you can get a big TV. You have a projector.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, too, and I brought this point up with the TV thing, is not only, they don't just broadcast the really, really big Alabama games or the really big Texas A&M games. They broadcast everything. If you want to watch, if you want to watch even Hawaii, you can turn on ESPN Plus at whatever o'clock and they're on.
Yes, that's part of it. So I also think that there are people who are maybe big college football fans who are like, why would I go to one game if that game stinks, then I'm stuck watching that
if
game.
I can put on Apple TV and have 4 screens going,
exactly right.
Why not?
There's that. Secondly, and I do think this is worth mentioning, I think it is pretty expensive. It's pretty expensive. It's tickets, tickets to get in. Yeah, of course, it's going to cost more to go to Texas than it's going to cost to go to North Texas, right? Yeah. To a North Texas game. But It's still expensive because you're paying to park, you're paying to get in, you're paying for food and drink and things like that. It's an outing. It's pretty expensive. That's one part of it. I have found this is me, and your mileage may vary. I don't necessarily know that college football is a family-friendly activity. I think colleges are trying to make it that way. Some colleges are trying to make it that way, but I think that it's hard to bring a family there because it's kind of rowdy.
It's hard to bring a family with young kids. Like, it's different when my family goes to go. My youngest brother, or my brother's 18 years old, so we don't worry about hearing bad words, but you would because you've got young kids.
Right. So, like, for example, Hank wants to go to a football game. Hank is now very excited that Dad works in football, and it has not even crossed our mind to go to a college football game.
Right.
What we're going to do is we're going to go to the high school down the street and go to a JV game on a Thursday night because it's cheap, right? And we can leave whenever, right? And then there's one other thing, and this is one thing that I think is the biggest factor for me, and one of the reasons that I don't attend a ton of college football games, personally. The games take too damn long. Okay? I looked this up. It was a random game. I was like, all right, North Texas SMU. Just a random game.
Yep.
Okay? It's 35-12. I would say that's an average score.
Yeah,
right?
It wasn't clock stoppage all the time
47
for scores.
points. It's not some 80, it's not some 70-60 outlier.
Right.
It's, 35-12. Game lasted 4 hours. 4 hours. And that doesn't count the hour minimum that you're going to need to leave to get there, and the hour minimum it's going to take for you to get home. That's a 6-hour day. Right. That's your whole day. If you're going to go to a college football game, that's your day. And look, I get it that there's only, 6 or 7 Saturdays a year, and for some people that's what they want to do. But I just can't. I think there's a lot of people who can't justify spending an entire day out of college football. And this is something that baseball's often struggled with, is time of game. One of the things I like about high school football, 2.5 hours, you're done. It's over in 2.5 hours, right? The NFL has got this thing down to about 3 hours.
Yep.
They have got it. That thing moves, and I think that they looked at some of those situations and said, you know what, these games are taking too long.
Well, high school would go even faster if we would get away with the 30-minute half times.
Oh well, we got to give the fans their shine too. I'm just saying that, look, is college football going to die? No, it's not, because TV ratings are robust and things like that. But college football athletic programs are kind of dependent on you showing up at their stadiums.
Oh, yeah.
And if these things are starting to dip, and if they're going to keep dropping 1,000 people a year, then at some point there does come a point where they cannot do all the things they want to do.
Especially for a G5 school.
Yes.
Like, I can say that from going to North Texas. You make most of your bang out of your buck off of the 6 football games that you host every year. And so it's even more imperative that people come to those 6 Saturdays, because those are the 6 biggest Saturdays of your entire year.
There you go. So, anyway, there's some headlines and college football attendance falling just a little bit. Stay tuned to the end of the show. We're going to tell you about a cool thing going on our website. A couple of cool things on our website, so stay tuned at the end of the show for that. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at TCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Hope you'll consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. TexasFootball.com/subscribe. 2 magazines, a year's worth of exclusive online content. Maybe I'll send you Vince Young's trophy since you won't come get it. If you go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe, you can get the 2022 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football mailed to you before it hits newsstands. If you go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Pickle, let's go to the hotline, and let's bring in the head coach of the McAllen Memorial Mustangs down there in the Rio Grande Valley. We're joined by Coach Moses Patterson. Coach, how are you? Coach, you read me? Uh-oh, Pickle, what'd you do?
Nothing.
Let's try again. Coach Patterson, do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, how are you, Coach?
Oh, pretty good. Yourself?
Excellent. How are things in the beautiful Rio Grande Valley?
Oh, they're pretty good right now. Temperature's been nice.
I'm sure.
Starting to warm up a little bit, but going well.
Yeah, you guys didn't have to worry about snow a few weeks ago.
No, we didn't.
Coach, I want to ask you a little bit about 2021. It was a whirlwind ride for you personally, and for the program as a whole. You take over in June. After Coach Patterson resigns, you take over this program and you lead them to the regional semifinals for just the third time in the program's history. I'm really interested in now that you've had a moment, you've had the interim tag removed, you've had a moment to look back on the 2021 season. How would you assess what you guys were able to do under such strange circumstances?
Well, first, and I just got to say it was just a magical season for us. Obviously, we'd like for it to go a little bit further than what it did, but in the very end, there's only one team that's actually really happy. But, just looking at the program itself, the kids that have been there, the coaching staff that's there, administration, just so supportive, the community, they want you to succeed. Everybody wants to succeed there. And just the resiliency of the kids that we have in the program that come out and, gone the extra mile, taking the extra step to do the little things and get us going in the right direction has just paid dividends for us.
You took over for Coach Littleton there in June. It was a late arrival. You were promoted from the defensive coordinator spot. I'm interested when you addressed your team as the head coach for the first time. What was your message to them? They were obviously familiar with you. You weren't some stranger, but what was your message to them when you talked to them for the first time as the head coach?
Well, I mean, the big thing that we wanted to push across the team was that, we're still here. The staff was still here, still intact. A lot of things are going to be the same, but we got to move on. We got to keep pressing, keep grinding, keep doing the things that we do. There'll be some tweaks here and there, but overall, just again, talking about the resiliency of the kids and what they brought to the table and their determination, hard work, everything that we put on throughout the summer, going into that season was going to be, the showcased.
Talking with Moses Patterson, the head coach of the McAllen Memorial Mustangs here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation and hashtag TF Today. Coach, you guys were able to obviously do some big things and make it to the regional semifinals, as I mentioned, for the third time in program history. I'm interested, was there a moment during the season or even in the offseason when it started to hit you that, okay, we might have a little something cooking here. We might be that kind of team that can make history down there in McAllen?
Yes, sir. So one of our program goals, has always been, it's not about we want to get this record or that record. It's always about being the best team in the history of McAllen Memorial, the school there. So, that's always on the plate for us. But I'd probably say the third or fourth game, we started to click a little bit. And we had some early struggles early on. We played Edinburgh Vela week 1, and they were pretty primed. And, we were still adjusting to a couple things. But we learned from that. Whenever you get a chance to play a prominent program like that, you're always going to have a few takeaways to get better. But I think the staff really believed early on, and the kids really believed fairly early on that this could be that type of season, one of those special seasons. And like I said, we just bought into it, and we all came on board at the same time and got things rocking and rolling.
One of the places where you guys really took a step forward was on the defensive side. A lot of reasons why that was why that was the case. You guys were able to shave a full touchdown per game off of your points per game allowed average. I'm interested from the defensive side. As a defensive guy, what was it about your defense that worked for you guys in 2021 so well?
I think the big thing was we had a lot of team chemistry, team bonding. The year prior, we had a lot of new faces on the defense, and there were some kids that had come out from basketball that hadn't played in a while, but really just coming together, learning to work as a group. The big message we always send home is it's all about culture. It's all about family, the family atmosphere we feel there at Memorial, and building that family up and leaning on one another, really helped on that end.
On the other side of the ball, offensively, not sure if you know this, but you guys were one of 6 programs in the state to have 3 1,000-yard rushers between Max Elenez-Choi, between Ethan Castillo, and Marcus De La Cruz. Offensively, the identity was pretty clear for you guys. You guys were going to line it up and pound it at them. I have to imagine that you were pretty pleased with the way that your offense was able to come together in 2021.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I got tremendous amount of praise for those 3 backs and what they did back there. Offensive coordinator did a great job for us. But, I'd be I really need to talk about our offensive line. Our offensive line is what put that whole thing together. Everyone wants to talk about our backs, and again, they did a tremendous job for us. But it all starts up front. I'm an old line coach, and I've always believed that, always will believe that everything on the offense starts with that offensive line, and we were fortunate enough to have a great one this past season that allowed for those guys to run everywhere they wanted to.
Yeah, they sure did. So now it's on to 2022, and I want to ask you, obviously we're not going to ask you to coach a game for a few months, but do you have a feel quite yet on maybe how this 2022 team may be different from your 2021 squad?
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have some new faces on there, but again, the goal is going to remain the same. We're going to try to be the best team we can in Memorial's history and go from there. But kids are working hard. They know what the plan is. They know what it is we want to do and what we're trying to accomplish, and we'll kind of take it from there.
And finally, Coach, realignment was a couple of weeks ago. 5A Division I in the Valley was always going to be a little bit interesting with a number of drop downs coming down. You guys get the aforementioned Edinburgh Vela and PSJA North dropped in your lap there in District 15 5A Division I. When realignment came out and you were able to get the packet, what were you thinking? Was this about what you expected?
Well, I really thought we were going to end up going west towards Laredo, the McAllen district, but we got thrown here with Vela and the Tula Hoyas and PSJ North, and it's a chance to kind of go back and kind of reevaluate some things and see what it is we need to get better. And definitely, whenever you get a chance to play teams of those calibers, it's going to make you better. So, looking forward to it. I know Coach Kaufman there at PSJ North, Coach Campbell, Edinburgh Vela, and the rest of the district, they do a great job, and it'll make for some fun times this fall. Finally,
Coach, you guys were in December, thanks in large part to the fantastic 2022 one you guys did. You had your interim tag removed, so you're now the full-time head coach. So are you going to unpack now?
Oh yes, sir. Yes, okay. Sir. I work for a great principal, great superintendent, athletic director, and I think they had faith in me from the get-go, and fortunate enough for me, myself, and the team, we were able to put a really good season together, and we're looking for many more. But it's all in large part to the community there. Just have tremendous support from everyone there in McAllen. So looking forward to some great things down the line here.
He's Moses Patterson. He's the head coach of the McAllen Memorial Mustangs. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations again on a fantastic 2021 season, and looking forward to seeing what you guys do next.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
You too. There he goes. Moses Patterson, head coach, McAllen Memorial, join us here on Texas Football Today. We mentioned him in passing last week when we were talking about the best first-year coaches. And he was, it really is, it's worth mentioning that Bill Littleton was there for 16 years, 17 years. He was there for a long, long, long time. And then he retired pretty abruptly there in June. 22 seasons he was there at McAllen Memorial. He retired pretty abruptly in June. He gets a job. Moses Patterson gets a job June 21st.
Yeah.
Think about June 21st. We're getting ready for 7-on-7.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Literally, we were leaving.
It was one of the last coaching changes in that cycle, and for him to take over the reins and be like, all right, I think the most impressive thing he did was just calm the waters. And be like, all right, guys, we're gonna go out here. We're gonna do what we need to do. Because with so much change at the top there at the very, there at that late in the game, you've gone through an entire offseason and stuff like that. That was really impressive. And for Coach Patterson to do that, I thought was awfully impressive.
Well, and you made a good point, too. Obviously, when you have 3 guys over 1,000 yards rushing, you're going to be pretty good. Yeah. But what they did on the defense shows how good of a coach he is, too. That wasn't just you had 3 really good people. Okay, it was no, if you're able to shave a touchdown off of that, then you're doing pretty good.
Can I do a lateral tease?
Yeah.
Yeah. We will we'll talk a little bit more about those other programs that have 3 1,000 yards back tomorrow.
Ooh.
On Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
So we appreciate Coach Moses Patterson hopping on with us. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts?
Do you want me to roll your fantastic video, video editor,
we can talk over this. So we've got a cool thing going at TexasFootball.com. We are having our inaugural DCTF Photo of the Year contest. We have, of course, fantastic contributors across the state of Texas who do an unbelievable job helping us out and helping us visualize the state of Texas. And so here's what we did. I emailed all of them and I said, hey, what I want you to do is I want you to pick a photo that you think is your best photo, and I want you to send it in. And we will put it up for a vote on TexasFootball.com. So you can go to TexasFootball.com right now and vote for which you think is the 2021 DCTF photo of the year. 2021, 2022?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yep.
We'll probably do the hyphen thing.
Because, well, the other thing is, too, some of these are college photos, so their seasons could have gone into 2022.
The only rule for this is that it had to be a photo taken in the state of Texas at a football game, in 2021. That's it. That's the whole.
Yeah, you can't go back to your favorite shot from 5 years ago.
No. And so we got, I believe, more than 30 submissions, and you can go right now to TexasFootball.com and vote for what you think should be the DCTF photo of the year. The winner is going to be spotlighted in the 2022 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. They're going to get a 2-page spread in the front of the magazine declaring them the DCTF photo of the year. They get a few other goodies and things like that, but we wanted to find a way, or we're continually trying to find ways to spotlight and showcase our outstanding contributing photographers. And so you can vote at TexasFootball.com for what you think should be the DCTF photo of the year. A lot of good ones here.
Yeah.
And kind of running the gambit. You got high school football, you got college football, you got big college football. I saw an A&M photo in there. I saw a McMurray photo in there as well.
Yeah, Lamar.
So a lot of cool photos in there from our outstanding photographers who are scattered hither and yon across the state of Texas. So if you go to TexasFootball.com, I believe we're voting through the end of the week. You can vote for what you think should be the 2021-2022 DCTF photo of the year. You can go to there, TexasFootball.com, and vote. So make sure you check that out. Do we have anything else?
No, that was great. Just a thank you again to our photographers.
Yes.
From a person who does the video/graphic making around here most of the time.
Yes, they're unbelievable.
Literally could not do my job without y'all. So please go spotlight them for us.
We love them very much. Go to TexasFootball.com to vote for the DCTF photo of the year. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks again to McAllen Memorial head coach Moses Patterson for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.